Una vez más de este lado del micrófono, les saluda Leo Moreno para Depósito Sonoro y en esta ocasión tenemos el gran placer de estar platicando con un artista muy interesante, Daniel Noah Miller. How are you, Danny? How's everything going, man? Really cool tracks we've been listening from you, man. Thank you for your time.
Oh, thank you so much for having me, and I appreciate the kind words. Estoy aquí en Los Angeles, tranquilo,
Okay,
just having a normal day. I'm about to head to the studio, and yeah, thank you so much for having me here.
that's great, man. Thank you for your time. As soon as we had, the music and we started listening to it, it was pretty obvious about the uniqueness of the sound. And that's something I really appreciated and liked as soon as I started listening to the work. So congratulations for the new singles and the launch. And the first question, Danny, is how to get as an artist to this angle of being unique, because they say there's nothing new under the sun, or to invent the black el hilo negro. I don't remember the word for hilo, sorry, the black thread, right? You cannot invent the black thread because everything exists. And it's really cool to listen to this authentic proposal. So how to be original in a time where there's a huge cascade of contents, Danny?
You know, that's a really tough question and a great question, and I'm not sure I have the answer, but I can certainly talk about my approach towards the music I make. You know, I'm very interested in um, making music that feels like mine, you know?
Yep, yep,
Um, and I think a lot of that begins with just having a very firm vision or imagination of what the music could be and what it should sound like.
yep.
Um, and so that's where it really begins for me. I have an idea of what it should sound like in my head, and I just really try to go for that. And the times that I find that I get the closest are the times that I think it ends up feeling most original or new, for lack of a better word, um, because it's really coming straight from me and my imagination. It's not coming
Yeah,
from other places, you know.
yeah.
But of course, I'm influenced by all music as well, and I'm on my own path towards figuring out how to get there. But I think it really begins with trusting yourself and being honest with yourself.
That's amazing, man. That's a great answer, because the more honesty in the work, any kind of work, obviously the connection with people is even profounder in a way, right? So I was reading, man, that this is a work that you've been developing in the last few years, and it's connected to experiences and emotions that have, in a way, marked your life recently. I suppose this also has to do something with the pandemics and the time the world, or the zeitgeist we are in now, that just as the world is. So what's the main emotion or the main emotions that you were experiencing in order to do this work and the catharsis it provokes?
Yeah. I was feeling a lot, you know. I think like so many people these last few years,
Yeah,
um, I uh, I went through a lot of change. I had also a lot of friendships and relationships in my life kind of change shape or
yeah,
fall apart. And that seemed to be something that I feel like was happening on a larger scale as well, within society, and people just becoming more distant and isolated. Um, and I was just spending a lot of time alone, to be honest, and reflecting on those things and reflecting on my journey with music and where it had taken me. And I think I had a lot of sadness and maybe confusion about why so often people are unkind to one another, and where
yeah,
that stems from, and whether it's something that is inherent to us or whether it's something that we learn from all the ways the world teaches us.
yeah,
um, but I was sitting with a lot of that, and the fact of the matter is set, but that I had a lot of love and understanding in my heart for the situation, for the people in my life that I had gone through a difficult period of time
yeah,
with. And so I really just allowed the music to be a place where I could express that nuance.
Yeah.
Um, and yeah, you know, it really was into me healing as an individual and to gaining some sort of better understanding about that as an individual. Yeah.
Yeah. I get it perfectly. And now that I'm listening to you, it comes to my mind this really cool phrase. I do not remember who wrote it, but it says, "Thank you for the tragedy. I need it for my art." And I'm thinking about this because the things you're sharing. And also, I was checking this Nina Simone documentary. I don't know if you've seen it, Danny. It's on Netflix. The who's Miss Simone? I don't remember what happened to Miss Simone, but she said something that stuck in my mind that said that the responsibility of the artist is to communicate in his art what's happening with the world at some level, like a responsibility of communication and to let people know how do you feel about what's happening with the world. And there's a lot of things happening now, no? Right? The World War III beginning, the UFO issue, and a lot of things regarding climate change. So music is beautiful in order to provoke beautiful feelings, but also you're a very, very sensitive artist, and that's amazing. Which is your main, or which artist provoked your musical awakening, Danny, when you were a little kid? Which is that who is that artist that you listened to it and said, wow, what's that? I want to do that with my life.
Yeah, that's a really great question. Thank you so much for all
Now,
of the thoughtful questions today.
thank you, man. Thank you for your
You know,
time.
I have loved music. Obvio. I have loved music in different ways at many different stages of my life, and I think that there are many artists that have shown me its power.
Yeah.
And both when I've seen them live in concert, when I've seen videos of them, when I've listened to their albums, of course. My music really sounds like my family. You know, I grew up in a
Okay.
bilingual household, hablando español y inglés.
Okay.
Mi papá es del Costa Caribe de Nicaragua.
See.
Um, and so I grew up listening to calypso music, and
Okay.
on the one hand, a lot of Caribbean and reggae music. And then I grew up listening to, like, my mom es de San Francisco aquí en los Estados.
See.
And I grew up, she had a very big hippie sort of folk vibe. And I grew up
Okay.
listening to Bob Dylan and Joan Baez and, Carole King. And I think that my music somehow finds a space between both of those worlds. I think that somebody that really changed, or an experience that really opened me up to music um, at, at an important time, was that I was born in Washington, D.C., and there was a punk group in D.C. at the time that I was growing up.
Okay.
D.C. has a very rich history of punk music. One of my
Yeah.
favorite bands of all time, Fugazi, see, son de allá.
Sí,
And
claro.
I was listening to a band called the Pie Tasters. Yeah, listening
The
to a
what?
band called the
Sorry.
Pie Tasters, and I had gone to
Ah,
seeing their
the pie
the
tasters.
Pie Tasters.
Okay. Okay. So.
Mm-hmm. The Pie Tasters. They're like a ska punk grupo de Washington D.C.
Okay.
And I went to their concert. I was probably, creo que tenía como 12 años,
Okay.
and I was there singing all the words. I was very small because I was only 12. And at one point in the concert, they put me up like above the crowd and they were crowd surfing me.
Surfing. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, and I went on stage and I was singing the lyrics into the microphone. And afterwards, everybody was coming up to me and talking to me because I was such a little kid. And I really think it just showed me how much power music has to bring people together, to
Yeah.
spark conversation. I was meeting all these strangers, and there was just somebody on stage that was really making all that possible and conducting all that energy. And
Yeah.
something that I think about a lot with music is that, bueno, tenemos todas esas grabaciones de todos los años ahora,
Claro.
streaming.
Exacto.
And you can listen to anything, right? And there's a
Yep.
part of that that is a legacy for those artists. But
Yeah.
there's also something really transformative about live music
Yep.
that only exists in that moment. And maybe there are people that only see, maybe there are people that listen to Nina Simone's music every day and
Yeah. Yeah.
have never seen her live. And maybe there's somebody that would be very old now that has seen her just one time and never listened to her records at
Yeah.
all, but that one evening was really powerful for them. And I
Life
think that
changing.
is something that I love about music. Yeah, something that I love about music is how it can really play with the idea of time.
That's great. That's the reason the band The Cure is called The Cure, because Robert Smith said that he was crazy. You know the story for sure, right? And the only thing that can cure us is music, the highest form of art, according to a lot of thinkers. Man, I'm listening to you also, and you said the pie tasters, right? Because we love to do recommendations to our audience from Depósito Sonoro in order to check new music. I know it's not new, but as you say, it's new for some people, you
Okay.
never heard it. And in order to understand the past, Danny, you have to understand the context of what was happening. And you were really right, because, now a lot of things happen now because we have this hyper digitalization happening. But before, not so long ago, the world was quite different. I loved Typical, man. Even the video, which is not exactly as the song, obviously that's great because you offer another perspective of the song that's beautiful. And I love the beats, and that's the uniqueness I was talking about. I love the beats, I love the production. And you have an amazing phrase there that I was listening this couple of days before, and I was listening, and you said typical how you throw your weight around. That's the phrase, right? And I
Yeah.
was reading also that in a press kit we had, they sent us, um, that you said that you were writing a lot about the external things happening, but not so much about auto evaluation, right? So I interpret this lyric as typical of the people who just wakes down other people because they're throwing their shit around and weighing us down. But the way to be lighter or to be able to lift up is to be light in a way, to not have to 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 create gold out of plomo. That's another song. So it sounds catchy. Sorry for but I need to put context on it. It sounds catchy, it sounds pretty fresh, but it also has like a hook in the lyrics about the important things of life, of how you relate to people. And that's something we need a lot right now.
A lot, yeah, a lot. No, I think it's true. And I think also part of that song
Yeah.
is about saying, that no matter how much good that we do or try to do, that like we are these people, we are these bodies, we're gonna offend people and rub people the wrong way, and that's just sort of the nature of the world, Um, that's just us rolling through life, learning lessons and trying to become better people. And that's why the last line of that chorus is anybody could be me somehow. I
Yeah.
think it really speaks to that idea that, no matter kind of like what we aim to do, there's always a way that we sort of get in other people's way. So, um, yeah, it's tough to be moving through the world in these times when there's such a lack of understanding, but I think
Yeah.
we're all doing our best.
I feel, I got this feeling that there's a lot of empathy in your music, precisely because of this reflections you're having now. And you come from the Luis Del Mar experience, that it has, it is known and it's been really, celebrated in so many ways. But I guess that for you as an artist, it's amazing to be able to go forth and evolve in a way that you have now another maybe stage to say some other things, right? Because you're the same person, but it's like a novelist that invents a name, a character, and can tell all of us the worst things he did, but it was the personage. So how would you describe? Give me 3 words, please, Danny. 3 words which describe the personage of Daniel Noah Miller regarding Disney music for those who haven't heard you before.
Yeah, I would say that it's empathetic, sure.
Yeah, 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 yeah.
I would say that it's um like contemplative or
Oof.
reflective.
Yeah, yeah.
Um and I would say that it is adventurous, you know.
Yeah, because of the experiment, man. Of course,
Yeah.
that's great. Yeah, for sure. I was checking the YouTube videos. I told you, we know your work, of course, and you are always trying to reach or go that step beyond in order not to be maybe conventional because it's your nature or because you are, you know, pulling yourself in a way in order to go beyond and beyond, or you always been like this as a
Yeah,
creator.
I'm very curious, I think, in pushing things forward somehow, you know, and it's
Yeah.
not I'm not like an I don't want to say I'm an avant-garde musician or somebody that's trying
That's
to
for us to say, don't worry.
okay, yeah. Um but I'm very focused on the progression of the space in which I work, and I'm very interested in the progression of the human race as a
Yeah,
whole.
yeah,
But I think that the little part that I can do is to try to make sure that, you know, I'm using the tools. What I like to think about is that there are certain qualities, honesty and sort of like the visceral nature of
yeah,
emotion that can make any art good or compelling. And so I'm trying to have it be rooted in those very fundamental virtues
yeah.
while still utilizing the technology that is available to us today in recording. And I think that that is what interests me most. I don't know if it's the best path overall, but I think that, you know, what you find the more that you walk down on this path is that innovation really, in music oftentimes comes just from someone, you know, you think about Bjork, like
Yeah,
Bjork has a lot of interesting sounds, but what is innovative about Bjork's music is her
yeah,
and the emotion that she conveys, the way that she sings, the way that she approaches making music. And that has nothing to do with technology, really. You
yeah.
know?
Of course, of course.
So I think that that's the way I think about it. It's not being super digital or making something. It's really finding the way to let the whole and totality of who you are, you know,
Yeah,
be present. You know.
yeah. Maybe a healthy equilibrium between the organic and the technology, of course, right? Uh,
Yeah.
what's the thing that you miss the most about Nicaragua?
Man, so much. Definitely
Yeah,
the weather.
the weather.
Sí, me encanta el
Sí, sí, sí.
Caribe. Cuando me
Claro.
mudo, sí, yeah, like when it's really sticky and wet, I love that. And my family is are very sweet people as well. I miss their accent. They have a very interesting acento porque esa
Sí, sí.
región, la costa caribeña de Nicaragua, es algo que mezcla muchos idiomas. And
Claro. Y
yeah,
acentos, como dices, claro. Sí.
yeah. So they speak very interesting, and yeah, I love the food as well. But there's some of the food here in Los Angeles, so
Oh, that's
um,
great,
I'm
man.
not yeah. But yeah, I think that's what it is. You know, there's a different a lot of that region is indigenous,
Yep.
and there's, you know, an indigenous value there that sort of speaks to this idea of um, you know, trying to find balance. The
Yep.
goal is not like advancing as much as it is to find equilibrium. And I think that that's a really powerful idea.
Yeah, man, that sounds amazing. Never been to Nicaragua. I hope sometime I can go there. Any music you could recommend to our audience from Nicaragua? It doesn't matter. It doesn't have to be maybe new, or just like, but
From new,
which,
yeah.
come on.
No, go ahead. Go ahead.
No, no, no. That if there's any music that you remember or that because we love to, as I told you, to recommend the music from the artist to our audience. And I'm thinking, I it doesn't. I'm really sorry, man. It is embarrassing, maybe because this is what we do for a living, but I cannot think right now of a Nicaraguan. That's the word in English. Yeah,
Yeah, I
Nicaraguan
got one.
musician or band.
Yeah, no, okay, bueno. A
Sí.
empezar,
Ajá.
I think I'll just say this to start, and then there's sort of like a very big lineage that you can go from here.
Okay.
but there's a very famous family of musicians in Nicaragua, se llama Los Mejia Godoys,
Okay.
and Carlos Mejia Godoy,
Okay.
um, he's like the dueño, and I think that,
Okay.
many of his sons and other family members make music, and there's a house there where you can go see them perform as a family in Managua.
Wow.
Um, so that's a really rich and long like lineage of music that has come from Nicaragua. So I would say
Okay.
to begin to
Yeah,
empezar.
I can begin there. We can begin there, and then the algorithm will do its thing, right?
Yeah, yeah,
And talking regarding technology, Danny, we are in the age of singleism, we say, sencillismo, no? You have this single and this, and you have to put a video, and you have because of the hyper digitalization. And the deep listening uh, culture, it's been, not lost. It is not lost, but it has suffered in a way. So, which one would be an album for you for deep listening? The kind of record that you put from the beginning, play, and you cannot just, you have to go as the artist intended for you to listen to it.
yeah. There's so many.
Yeah, no,
There's
I
so
know, no, I know.
no, but I also should say that like that's my favorite way to listen to music. I've found over time is like I really like listening to a whole album.
Yeah.
Um, it's gonna have to be Voodoo from D'Angelo.
Oh,
That album,
okay.
just like I can't listen to like one song on that project. I have to listen to the whole thing, and there's always something new that I find, and there's so many little details tucked in to those recordings. It's really magic. Yeah.
Perfect, man. Great answer. I'm gonna check it out because if you say it's, to in order to listen as a deep listening, it's great. You have for a minute
Mhm.
the Thanos globe, man. The Marvel, this thing, the Thanos. You know what I'm talking about?
No.
Thanos.
Oh
It's
yeah,
like
Thanos. Yeah,
the character that clicks his fingers and
yeah.
everything disappears or whatnot. So you have the glove, and you gotta do this, man. Okay, and you gotta send to oblivion one of these choices. Okay.
So I snap and everything goes away.
No, no, no. Yeah, but you have to answer. Which one
Okay.
disappears from existence?
Okay.
Beatles or Rolling Stones?
Rolling Stones.
You keep the
I'll take.
Beatles, man.
Yeah, I keep the Beatles.
Okay.
Beatles were better musicians.
Led Zeppelin or Pink Floyd?
That's tough because I think both are important, but I would disappear Pink Floyd. I would disappear
Yeah,
Pink Floyd. So
me too,
I'm
man. We're
rocking
going to
I'm
two of
rocking with
two. Me
Zeppelin.
too, man.
Yeah.
Rosalia or Nati Peluso?
Uh I'm gonna keep Rosalia, so I'm gonna snap for Nati Peluso.
That's great, man.
I like their music as well. I
Yeah, yeah,
like I
yeah.
like both of their music.
Okay. Birds of Canada or Aphex Twin?
Wow.
And I ask you this, I do this kind of
Good
questions,
muchas,
but
good
because of
muchas.
your profile, man. Yeah.
Ay, ay, ay. Okay. I really love Boards of Canada, but I think
But
Aphex Twin is probably a more important artist. But the One Boards of Canada album, I'm gonna blank on the name of it. I'll find it in a second. But I think is like one of the best pieces of music made. So that's definitely tough.
yeah, maybe it's the music has the right to children, which is legendary. Well, it's one of them, but that's my favorite. But you will keep Aphex
Yes, yeah,
because it's
yeah, yeah.
Aphex,
Yeah,
man, right?
music has the right to children. Yeah, exactly. And there's been so many contributions that Aphex has made.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Yeah, music has the right to children. That's right.
That's great, man. These questions are obviously because we love to get to know the artists we talk with about, man. So regarding the work and the live work on stage, live presentations, which one will be your greatest collaboration? Which music, dead or alive, would you choose? Or music, she, her, whatever, duet, group. Which is the dream collaboration for Daniel Noah Miller?
With another musician that's
Yeah,
living.
dead or alive, because you have some, of course, but the dream collab, which is for you, man?
Man, I really don't know. I've become so interested over the years in going deeper into myself and what I have to offer, especially as I become a solo musician,
Yep.
that I feel oddly like it's not something that I really I don't know, like strive for,
Yep.
but
Good.
oh god, playing with Stevie Wonder would be incredible, and I think
Great
probably
answer, man.
probably
Great.
Bob Marley too, honestly.
Yeah,
Like
yeah, yeah.
being in the Wailers, like playing in the Wailers would be so sick. Yeah.
Yeah, that's great answer, the Stevie Wonder one, man.
Yeah,
Haven't
yeah.
heard that before in all the conversations we had before. So regarding your process, how do you create? Because you are an artist, of course, you have an approach to a lot of different variety of instruments or possibilities of creating sounds. The idea comes to your head, you start maybe singing something while you are, in the supermarket, or you grab the piano, or you sit at the piano. How is your process regularly, or how do you work in order to start creating?
Yeah. Oftentimes I do have an idea while I'm doing something else.
Yeah.
Um, that tends to be a melody or a lyric or maybe an idea that I want to write about.
Yeah.
And I just try to take a small note of it and kind of come to it as soon as I can. And yeah, I often begin working with, you know, either sort of concept or melody. But over time, I've come to a place where even if I have a concept or an idea, I still develop like the melody and the chords
Yeah.
um, first because I've come to a place where I've figured out that, or at least for myself, I've figured out that music is its own language, and lyrics are incredibly important and incredibly important to me, and writing is incredibly important to me. But what I've found over time is that, um, you know, music is a separate language. So it's
Yeah.
best to let music lead the conversation when it comes to making music.
Man, we just hit the tag of the interview. You just said it, man. You know what I mean? Open quotes. Let music do the talk,
Yeah.
like that, just like that in a way. That's great, man. You have now typical another way at Spotify. Of course, you are
Man, it's
working.
funny. It's funny how long it took me to learn.
It's funny. It's funny how what? Come again?
Oh, how long it took me to figure that out.
No, man, but it's like a virtuous idea, because if not,
Yeah.
what about we are all made of ego, and music is the supreme form of art, of course. But what happens, Danny, when you are not doing music? Maybe that's a question that never happens. But you know what I mean? If there's no music, what happens in Danny's life? Maybe you go hiking, trekking. What happens when music is not the priority?
Yeah, yeah. Me encanta surfear. I
Oh,
Yeah, yeah. I live really close to the ocean here, maybe like 20 minutes, 25 minutes. So
where,
I
Venice Beach or Santa Monica, San Diego?
yeah, I don't live there, but I live close to those beaches. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, yeah.
And so yeah, I get in the ocean several times a week. It always makes me feel really good. I have a little puppy. She's very sweet. She's like a year and a half, and her and I spend a lot of time together hiking and playing outside. And I really love people. I see my friends a lot. I get dinner, a salir para unos tragos, and
Claro, claro.
like I really, with those three things, I spend some time volunteering as well with a homeless organization here in Los Angeles.
Oh.
But with those three things, four things, that's a lot of stuff. Like I've
Yeah.
I've been trying to simplify my life a little bit. So
That's amazing, man. Volunteering, you talking about empathy, right? Empathy, reflection. You said before, right? And avant-garde was the other one. No, no, it wasn't avant-garde. It was empathy, reflection, and it was connected to
oh,
experimental.
adventure,
Adventure. That's great. That's great.
aventura.
Yeah, yeah. Y dar algo de regreso with the volunteering, talking about empathy. I think it's something amazing, man, because obviously you are doing it because you feel that that it comes from inside you, right? You're not doing it because you want to make a statement. You are doing it because it's in you. And I think that's very valuable, man. Congratulations.
Thank you. I appreciate that. And
Man,
yeah.
we
No,
gotta
yeah.
start. We gotta start closing, man. You know, we could go for hours, of course. But you know, I know you have other things to do. Thank you very much for your time, Dani. Muchas felicidades por el trabajo. La música, las canciones están increíbles. And I know that you are working in making them explode, but I mean in a way that, you know, expand, not explode, expand. And for sure, more people are going to be listening and listening and listening. It would be great to have you in Mexico. It would be great to have the show. And the last question is precisely this: you are working and working in your music and in your proposal. How do you visualize the live setting? Is it only you? I don't think so. You're going to have more musicians on stage, or just you?
I think eventually I'll have a full group.
But
But
now it
you
is
know, I
just
have
you,
an
right?
idea. Yeah, the incarnation that it is right now is just me alone on stage, and I really arrived there through thinking about how to tell the story of making this music, and I spent a lot of time alone during the process. So there was something that felt really right spiritually about performing the music alone for the first time. So I'm just
Yeah.
gonna see how it goes, a ver,
A ver qué
and
pasa. And from there, you're going to see how it grows.
exactly,
Yeah, first how it goes, how do you feel, and then how it grows.
exactly,
I think it's a
exactly.
really healthy way to do it. Thank you very much, Danny. It was
Leo,
really
muchísimas
nice to
gracias.
talk to you. A ti, mi hermano, todo el éxito. Hasta allá está el gabacho y hope que pronto podamos toparte por acá en México. Felicidades y vamos a estar escribiendo, lo compartimos. Y pues un abrazo hasta Los Ángeles, hermano.
Bueno, un abrazo, hermano. Muchísimas gracias.
Muchísimas
And yeah,
gracias.
thank you for all the lovely questions. Hopefully I'll speak to you soon, Leo.
Yeah, man, for sure. When you're in Mexico, we'll do this face to face, face to
Of
face.
course. Obvio.
Thank you for your
Obvio.
time, man. Thank you. Gracias,
Thank
Majo.
you.
Muchísimas
Okay.
gracias. Gracias por
Chao.
todo. Un gusto verlos.